All right, so I want to welcome everyone to the Women Veterans Alliance Wednesday webinar. Today is Wednesday. I'm Melissa Washington. I'm a Navy veteran and the CEO and founder of Women Veterans Alliance. And welcome you all here today for a fantastic presentation that will take place. Also, too, if you saw from our email or if you've been on previous webinars, we are piloting a new app called Audience Graph, and on that audience graph, here you can just tap your button, the topics will change. Just want to find out as far as your interest in what's happening. Also gives you opportunity to engage. So if you look on the app right now, you can see that you are, if you're here, click on it, do that. And again, these topics will change throughout there. So Women Veterans Alliance, if you haven't heard of our organization, welcome. We are a national organization that I started here in Sacramento, California. And we are here to connect you with each other and resources. And one of the ways we do that is through our webinar series that is open to anyone. You don't have to be a paid member of Women Veterans Alliance. There are extra perks to being a member. So if there is of interest to you, please join us online, womenveteransalliance.com. Click on join, and I'll give you more information regarding our membership. Also, if you're not connected with us, we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Also, to another thing on Facebook, you can like our page, but we also have a private group only for women veterans. So please feel free to join and connect us there. And if you haven't seen, we've got some new card decals, some new logos. These are 3 of them. There's 2 more. We're also looking at having these placed on cups and shirts and hats. And if you didn't know, June 12th is Women Veterans Day. It is not yet a national day. There are several states, including Texas, who did sign this in law back in 2017 to have June 12th officially as Women Veterans Day. There are other states that do acknowledge that day. But yesterday we did announce a pre-order for Women Veterans Day t-shirts if you're interested. And we just ask that you get those ordered in by the 24th so we can get those ordered and get those shipped out to you. If you've heard of the Unconference, if you haven't heard of the Unconference, it takes place October 8th through the 10th at the Tropicana in Las Vegas. Just want to let you know the early bird pricing does end May 31st, which is coming up. So I highly recommend, if you want to come for this phenomenal 3-day weekend, that you get your tickets now. We will announce the advanced pricing on June 1st. And again, it's a phenomenal weekend. Also too, we're also looking for, continue to look for sponsors and exhibitors. And if you want more information, you can visit womenveteransunconference.com. Also too, on that website, you can watch a video of our previous, one of our previous unconferences. So if you've never experienced it, you can get a little taste watching that video. Right, so we've got webinars scheduled all the way through August. We've got, I just want to share 3 of them we've got coming up next week. And then we've got Journal Jumpstart for Baddies Who Serve. You got Siobhan Cunningham, she's going to be sharing that. Following that, if you're looking to use your VA home loan or have questions regarding your VA home loan, we've got Rebecca Miller-Pringle, who will be sharing that on June 2nd. And then Financial Freedom, great presentation that's going to take place on June 16th for that. So definitely sign up. Best place to find that is on our website. If you just click on the webinars, you can see the different webinars. Click on it, sign up for it, and you'll be in. Some of you on here I see are members who have been on our mentor program sessions that we are offering exclusively for our WVA members. It is a 6-week bi-monthly, 6-week bi-weekly program. We actually just finished up the 2nd week today. It's a fantastic session. If you are a member, I highly recommend that you join. If you're interested in becoming a member, definitely join at the sessions. It's and we also have some other upcoming things exclusively for our members. So with that, I don't want to take up much of her time because that's why all of you are here. You're not here to listen to me. You're here to listen to Larissa Martinez, who is the Air Force veteran, Circle of Arms, and I'm going to read her bio. She is an Air Force veteran, survivor of MST rape, childhood sexual, mental, and physical abuse and abandonment. Finding her voice and empowerment again put her on a mission to help others to do the same. Larissa founded Circle of Arms in 2019, and their permission is to promote mental health awareness through education, fill gaps, and break stigma primarily among veterans and minority communities. Veterana Mente, empowering through the battlefield of our mind, is Circle of Arms' newest creative project. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce Larissa. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and she will share hers. All right, Larissa.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining, and give me a second here so I can start sharing my screen. And I do want to apologize ahead of time. I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, and we've been having some inclement weather with rain and thunderstorms. So I apologize if there's any disconnection. Give me one moment and I will find the, hold on, give me one second.
You're all right.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, there it goes. Wow. Okay. All right. Again, thank y'all so much for joining. And I apologize. This is not how, actually, let me see if I can do it this way instead. Okay. So again, like Melissa, thank you so much, Melissa, for allowing veteran women and to be able to use this platform sources with our fellow female veterans. And now through just virtually, we are able to get across to so many more people and veterans. So this is so, again, my name is Larissa Martinez. 40 minutes of your time. And again, this is something that is important to me. And I, would love to have the engagement and the questions, and we're all in this together. So as we get started, I want to kind of throw out this question. What would you tell your younger self? Just think about it for a second. And you can either use your chat box or you don't have to say anything. Maybe you want to think about it a little bit more and maybe come back to it later, right? So I want to just take a few seconds for you to really think about this question. What would you tell your younger self? And I can't see the chat boxes, so Melissa will be monitoring that if anything comes through.
So we have one, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yes, definitely. So
work on your trauma now so that you can progress in life. Be courageous.
And the reason why I kind of wanted to start with this question is because we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different walks of life, areas, things that have happened to us. And it's just important to kind of reflect back on your life story, right? To see, okay, what would I tell my younger self, knowing what I know now, to be able to have tools and be able to prepare yourself, right, for whatever that your story is. And it's just something important for us to think about when we're out there doing whatever that it is that we do, your job, your role as a wife, mother, just sister, you're just your role, whatever your role is, and to kind of keep that in mind for our younger generation. So let me go ahead and start by saying, this is my childhood summarized, of course. So I kind of came into the world born fighting. I was a preemie. I was born at 3 pounds, just under 3 pounds. I already was fighting without realizing that this would be the synopsis of my life story, continually fighting. And my family was dysfunctional family that I was born into. I was the fourth child of my mom and dad. My mom was about 24, I want to say, when she had me. And when I say dysfunction, my father, who was a Vietnam veteran, he was undiagnosed. He was misdiagnosed, and he wasn't given treatment for his PTSD from the Vietnam War. And he had so many different reactions to that. He self-medicated with alcohol and drugs. And as we know, then there wasn't a lot of resources. PTSD was barely starting to kind of come around and be talked about in the 90s. And so he just used self medication, and his family wasn't a big supporter of discussing mental health either, or knowing how to direct him to professional or appropriate resources. My mother was the same. She had undealt with childhood trauma and teen young adult trauma, and so she too dealt with it differently. She didn't, self-medicate doing drugs or alcohol, but she changed, her mindset changed, right? And she was closed off emotionally to all of her kids. And she protected her heart by being not showing emotions. So imagine just growing up in a household full of toxic energy and really no direction and stability. So an example I can share is that my mom told me when I was a little bit older, to understand things, that she had given me away when I was less than a year. And she told me because she couldn't feel the emotion from me, that I didn't love her. And I just thought to myself, like, wow, like I was a little baby. How am I supposed to know like how to love? Like that's what you are taught. And I just can remember seeing that to her though at that time. And when she told me, it made sense to her. And I have had to do a lot of reflection and healing to understand that whatever she was going through, she just didn't have the proper tools to be able to guide us in the right direction. But that was just one of the ways that I kind of wanted to show that disconnect. And so I did. I was bounced from house to house, family to family, people that were entrusted with me, and I was subjected to neglect, emotionally, physically, and sexual abuse. I'm not going to go too much into it. I know these are all triggers, so definitely reach out to Melissa if there's something that's triggering you. I didn't have a stable home. I didn't have any really role models, female role models, except through school. A few teachers that kind of stood out. I could count on my hand, maybe a couple that kind of stood out, where they kind of just did enough, but as much as they were allowed. And so ultimately, I did graduate from high school, even though everything that I went through, I kind of resonated during my high school time with dance. So a therapeutic way of helping me deal and kind of distract from what was going on in my home life. And I joined the military 2 months after I graduated high school. And as they say, there's a saying out there that, oh, children are resilient, right? If they can face trauma or they can face these different situations and they'll get over it, they're still young. But the truth of the matter is that children impacted by trauma it has a big impact, because they're our little minds, and their little minds, we haven't dealt with trauma before, so we don't have the tools at a young age. So our brains are still developing and growing, and so dealing with trauma at young age is detrimental, and can stump our emotional and developmental patterns. And so children will react, by behaviors or bedwetting and or fighting or anything to express themselves. So I definitely don't believe in that. Children are resilient, and I get it. Some children can go on and do things. I decided to make the choice to graduate and join the military. But I definitely had that survivor mentality in me. And not to say that somebody who doesn't have that, we are all just different. Now I don't want to say like it was all bad, right? I had some happy memories sprinkled in there. I had some that I remembered, right? Good thing about our brains too, when our brain hijacks, our body hijacks, our brain hijacks our brain, right? Our mentality to kind of black out certain things that happen to us, because that's the brain's way of coping for us to help go and move forward. But we still have those repressed memories, and eventually they'll resurface either through another trauma or later on in our life. So it did help me get to the point where I needed to graduate and join the military. So the plan was to see the world and retire and just be great in the military at that young age. So lo and behold, another, trauma resurfaces, an old friend, right? An old friend trauma comes back into the picture.
Larissa, I don't know if you're moving the slides, but we still just see the first slide. I just want to let you know.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, no. I was moving them. Can you see it now?
You may want to unshare and then share again.
Oh. Okay, let me do that. I apologize. Let me get this again. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Can y'all see now?
The main screen, if you want to.
Okay, so is it moving now?
There you go. What would you tell your younger self?
Okay, sorry. Yes. And so this was the childhood summary. There's my little picture over there. Okay, so now we should be on track. So again, that was the plan. Okay, so here is me in the military, and so service before self. And if people that were in the Air Force know, that is one of our core values. And I put a question mark there that we'll come back to. So again, at a young age, I was on a mission to honor my dad, right? By joining the Air Force, because I felt like he fell through the cracks. He really wanted to join the Air Force and join the Marines instead. And I was just very young and patriotic. And I felt like I could rectify my dad's situation by going in and making the change and doing what I needed. And it made him happy. So when I say too that he fell through the cracks, he really did fall through the cracks. He ended up passing. He died by suicide at the age of 48 through drugs. And I was already in the military. I was already maybe in my second, third year in the military. And it really impacted me that my dad was just so young. And I felt that he just couldn't get past what he went through. And so it was just my mission to just do what I needed to do to make him proud and just make sure that I achieved as well. But I can tell you that I went in the military, I enlisted blindly, right? I just kind of went with, what some people told me, what my recruiter told me, and that's what I did. And I just kind of took it from that point and said, okay, well, I'm just, I at my first base, I did end up having a strong female supervisor. That was one of my first supervisors. And she really helped bring out that confidence in me, and, had me doing and trying out different, projects or doing different things. So I was on a mission and I was driven for success. And within the first year, I was doing so many different things that I would not have thought I could do. And I was just like a sponge absorbing everything. And I really do think that the military does a good job of just ingraining a work ethic in general, right? But not all the time do we need to just focus on that work. So going through, so you can imagine going through military sexual trauma in the United States Air Force was something I never would have expected then, because of course I was so young. And now in hindsight, I know that I was naive at the young age of 19, that it could and did happen very frequently. There are predators among us in the ranks, and I just couldn't see it. And maybe a lot of us didn't really see that was happening. And I just was shocked. It really just, I mean, it had a big impact on me after that it happened. And I won't go too much into discussion about it, just again, because I know we're kind of pressed for time. But the thing that I want you to know is that it happened over a few years. The perpetrator or the predator was a higher ranking individual, and he used that power over me to, first off, I didn't want to say anything. And when I did mention something of the fact to other supervisors or people, and just in a hearsay, like, what if this happened to somebody, what do you think would happen? A lot of the feedback I was getting was, oh, I wouldn't say anything. I don't want to mess up my career or your career. And just, it would be good to just leave the base. So again, it's kind of like that sort of victim mentality, is like, you have to do all of the leaving, the jumping through hoops, so that you can get away from your predator or your perpetrator. And again, so I finally decided after 8 years, my whole attitude had changed. I just wasn't as driven as I was before. And I decided to be honorably separated after 8 years of service. And at that point, I resented the military. I didn't want anything to do with the military. I wasn't proud of being a veteran. I didn't want anything to do with the military. I just wanted to leave it behind. But going forward, and after 10 years, going through my divorce, that's when it just all fell apart. It fell apart to the point where I started to realize that everything that I did, everything from getting out of the military on autopilot, was due to my trauma. And that trauma that I experienced in the military also resurfaced my childhood trauma. So it was like a double whammy. So hitting rock bottom with nowhere else to go but up, I had to start looking like, I know that I'm stronger than this. And I know that I'm down right now, but I'm going to get up. I have to get up. So luckily, an older friend of mine that was in the military suggested that I seek, help. I almost lost my house. I almost lost my kids. I did lose a good job that I had. And so I didn't have insurance. I didn't know where to go for, medical or, therapist. And so that's when somebody said, you can use, you have benefits at the VA, you just need to go and sign up. And so long story short, I was able to get that help and get in touch with a therapist, and actually for the first time open up about what had happened to me in a protected environment. And so again, it wasn't to that point, that turning point for me was seeing that where I had gotten, and being silent so long was not doing me any good. And so I'm thankful for the services that were out there, but just weren't kind of on a bulletin board of where to find. It wasn't easy to find them. And again, now my thoughts about the military are definitely different, right? I accept, and I wouldn't change anything about me serving, about anything that happened to me, because it led me to the point where I am right now, which is speaking with you, my lovely audience. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what I just wanted to kind of make sure that everybody knows, that I'm not military bashing at all. I get it. Everybody goes through different situations in the military. But now that I do accept the military and my service, I can move forward, right? And that's what it is, about accepting that trauma. So let me go over my empowerment moment. So going through the VA system, trying to get help. Now, while there was help. I'm saying it wasn't. It was definitely, you had to jump through a lot of hoops and obstacles and waiting, periods of time to see somebody. And there was no like, to me, it didn't seem like to all just exist and flow naturally. It seemed like it was hurry up and wait, like in the military, like hurry up and wait for your treatment, but it's there. And so I just started noticing different things, and I decided, okay, when I'm ready and when I've gone through my healing and talked to different therapists and have done what I needed, I decided and put it in my notebook of things to do that I want to start an organization that fills those gaps. And that's what I did. In 2019, I founded Circle of Arms, and our mission is to promote mental health awareness. And you can see it here, though. And I know Melissa went over it earlier, but we have different trainings like mental health first aid, assist, which is applied suicide intervention skills training, and mental health peer specialist training. These are all tools that we can have in our tool belt for once we're ready to kind of move forward after our healing, because you definitely have to take that time out, that break, to heal and work on yourself. We have different programs, outside therapy, different things here. But the one I want to talk about is Veterana Mente. So Veterana Mente is Spanish for female veteran mind. Sorry, hold on. Oh, sorry. After leaving the service, transition for some female service members isn't as smooth as others. Veteranas' mental, emotional, and physical needs aren't always easily identifiable while serving or even shortly after, right? That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes our trauma has this on automatic pilot that it doesn't surface until sometimes years later. Our bodies may not be in the battle any longer, but our minds still can be stuck in that repetitive, destructive state. So we wanted to create a safe platform for veterans, I should say veteranas, to heal, advocate, and become empowering mentors, especially for those who have experienced trauma. Veterana Mente falls under the umbrella of the veteran-founded nonprofit of Circle of Arms. Give me one moment. So Veterana Mente, our program outline is healing, empowerment, advocacy, and mentorship. And just like the young woman here in the binoculars, I see a lot of strong women out here today just watching and being a part of this series and all the other series, right? And all the other speakers that have spoken on this platform. And I apologize that you can't see my nice little model here, but for some reason it's not showing up on this screen. But the first part of the healing is we got to recognize recognizing our trauma doesn't make it disappear, but it will help us accept it to move forward. So our recovery doesn't have to be inspirational, right? We don't have to be like, oh my gosh, this is like, we have to have this story of an inspirational story of our recovery. Sometimes you're just going to recover the best way for you. And changing our mindset can transition our minds from survivor to advocate. We'll always be a survivor, but you can change that survivor mentality into advocacy or mentoring. And that's what that part of the stage of healing is so important. And we'll have different ways that we can do that, therapeutic and holistic. Another part of empowerment is sharing our stories of trauma and hope. It's a form of healing, right? Because not only does it give us our empowerment back, but we gain control back of ourselves. And most importantly, we are able to empower others. We don't know who else is watching that might needed to hear what we had to say or what you had to say, and therefore empowering and creating those connections. It will also allow us to understand that trauma doesn't define us, and and female veterans empowered are unstoppable. So that's what is so important. Just look at Women Veteran Alliance, and look at all these other different organizations that are out there and all these speakers that have done amazing things. And that's why going through the stages is just detrimental. Advocacy, the next part of this stage is advocacy, right? Advocacy is important because we are able to use our trauma and empowerment together in this stage of healing. Many trauma survivors lose their sense of power until they go through that healing. Changing your mindset is essential because if you have kids or work in advocacy or victim assistance, when you are a person in a survival mode, you know that your brain is not going to function on healing if it's stuck in survival. So healing takes us out of that survival mode and it opens us up for accepting the healing. When becoming advocates, we have to remember that we have to remember back what we needed when we were younger, going through trauma or crisis, to be able to see and reflect, okay, I can be that for somebody else. But also remember that intent is also depends on where it lands. Sometimes we can have the best intentions, but until somebody is ready to receive it, it may just fall down, right? It just is like falls to the ground. But don't take it personally. You planted that seed and they know that you're ready to help. And when it comes to yourself, just know too that when somebody is trying to help you, maybe you're not ready to receive it then, but take a note of who was trying to help you and remember to come back, kind of go back to them. So the last final stage is mentorship. So the final stage of Veterana Mente program is for veterans to come back full circle by giving back to their community, by becoming a mentor to a mentee who is in need of guidance. And when I say mentee, this is for our younger generation and being there as a mentor, because some don't have that. It's about giving back 100% to our mentee with no judgment, full transparency, and an open mind, because we've been there, we've needed this, and we know how to help and guide. So advocacy and mentorship kind of are similar, right? But the difference with advocacy is that advocates truly have your future and your well-being, and they'll fight for you to know your rights. Whereas a mentor is more so there to help, let's say, grow your goals or show you advice or feedback on how to do something a different way, right? To gain progress or to gain success. So both are still needed in our females' lives. So the hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy shows, you could see up at top, that self-actualization and esteem needs and belongings, these are all physiological and self-fulfillment needs. So as you can see, nothing is going to, we could read all the books we want, go to all the trainings that, to better ourselves, but without actually believing in it and actually self-actualization, it will not work. So that's why it's so important to really, really retain the messages and retain what is actually being said out there. Because as you know, we cannot just live off of the basic physiological needs. We need all of the above to have a balanced life. Empowering through the battlefield of our mind is just that. It's basically saying, instead of self-sabotaging your happiness, why don't we try being happy when you can? Doesn't mean that we're always going to be happy, and it doesn't mean that when we have a bad day that we have to say, oh well, I have to be happy and not be sad or not be mad. No, you are allowed to have your sad days, your bad days. Just don't sabotage your happiness with other items, like other things that are going on. Just remember that you can have your full emotions. Just don't self-sabotage your happiness by doing things that could harm yourself. Don't always instead of apologizing for your reactions to trauma, give yourself permission to react by the way you did dealing with crisis. It's okay to react the way you did. That's your genuine reaction. Don't apologize for that. Instead of filling your minds with negative thoughts, repeat positive affirmations or journal those negative thoughts and include positive ones. Instead of self-doubting your abilities, know you will make mistakes, but continue to keep growing. Instead of allowing trauma to define you, take back the control and it doesn't have to be loud. Again, like we talked earlier, it doesn't have to be for everybody to see, or it can be baby steps, but each time you do that, it is a direction of moving forward and not allowing trauma to define you. Instead of listening to everyone decide what's right for you, explore what you need without approval. You know what you need, bottom line. And instead of doing the same thing over with no results, look for alternative options, holistic and therapeutic ways, organizations, support systems that you might not have thought of, but you want, or maybe you were scared to explore. Maybe having that new outlook can help you as well. So these are just a few quotes that kind of resonate with me. No amount of self-improvement can make up for any lack of self-acceptance. And that's so true, because if we can't accept ourselves the way we are, no matter how much we try to improve, we're not going to improve. And sometimes the smallest steps in the right directions end up being the biggest steps of your life. That's so important, because a lot of people don't want to celebrate the small victories. And it is in those small steps that are going to lead you to the biggest steps of your life. And that could be as small as making the decision to seek therapy, or making the decision to share your story. So all these little, which you may think is a small step, it's still in the right direction and could be the biggest step of your life. And just remember, you're not going to master it in one day. You're not going to master the rest of your life, but just remember that master the day, and you just keep doing that every day. So give yourself a break. It won't be easy, but it's necessary. And baby steps get you ahead too. You need to develop your own why. And I leave that there as meaning you need to develop your own why for whatever your why is, right? If you're dealing with trauma or crisis and you have, why did that happen to me? Or why did I not do this? Or why didn't I, no matter what, if you're trying to start a new career, go to school, whatever it is, you need to develop your own why and create your why for whatever reason you have. So if you journal, or if you write this down, think about that. What is your why? Have you developed your why? Why you do what you do, why you want to do what you do, or why you think this needs to be done. Developing your own why will kind of clear the fog a little bit and have you ready to move forward. And lastly, this is a way that you can contact us, Larissa at circleofarms.org. We have a number. And then also there is a QR code, and that will take you to our website, which is www.circleofarms.org. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I had to switch computers at the last minute, but yes, so I'm done. I have 15 minutes left, so I did it on time. Yay. Melissa, do you want me to stop sharing?
Yes, and if anyone wants to ask questions, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Larissa is here, and thank you for sharing your contact information as well.
And I know you said you were going to send it out too, so
yes.
Okay.
Also too, if anyone is using the Audience Graph app, there is a topic. If you can just do a thumbs up, we're asking, did you find the content useful, and also about our presenter? That would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, positive criticism is definitely something that I am looking for. So definitely don't feel that I will take it personally, because we always, again, it's with growth, right? So we are all learning and growing, and are all at different stages of where we're at. So I have always told myself that I'm never gonna think that I know it all, because I know that I have so much room for growth, and there's so many different ways to look at how we do things, right? And there's no one perfect way. There's only a perfect way for you. So definitely. Was there any questions or any feedback that anybody wanted to give out?
Oh, there's so I'm gonna read something in the chat. Is everyone aware of the Beyond MST mobile app available for free through the VA? And she also said, Elizabeth said, you did an excellent job in presenting and good advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Great presentation. Thank you for your time and sharing your story. Excellent presentation. This gave me a lot to think about. Cheers to all of us for joining this empowering Zoom call and taking this one step today. Hugs, love, and light to you all.
Oh, awesome. I just wanted to kind of just hone in a little bit more on the trainings. So especially for those that are kind of in your recovery or healing and are ready to kind of make those next moves to advocacy or mentorship. If you haven't heard of mental health peer specialists, that is one way to definitely use your lived experience to help others. And mental health peer specialists are on the platform of professional help. We just aren't as far as licensed as psychologists, but we are certified as a peer, as an equal to help, because sometimes people would rather go to somebody who has lived experience that might know and share their struggles or what they went through to help them, right? Not saying that what worked for you is going to work for them, but at least you have an understanding. And that is something that the organization Circle of Arms is helping female veterans get trained in, to become that advocacy, to become that mentorship. So if you would like more information about that mentoring, we have classes coming up, and this is going to be no charge. Of course, there's going to be applications because we can only fill 2 slots at the time. But I definitely think it's very important. I'm a certified peer specialist, and it is very empowering to be able to not only share your story and kind of go through the course. It is also empowering to be able to see where others need you to help, and for you to just be able to listen. The peer support is virtual. It is a virtual training. And the Veterana Mente program, I am thinking that we're still in discussion about it, but we are thinking that we will do some in person and some virtual. So that is still up for discussion. And majority of our classes are virtual.
And how can they get the link? And feel free to share with me as well, because then I can send it out too.
Okay. The best way to contact about the program and about training or whatnot is through email. And I'm going to give you a few emails because I have a few different board members that are actually working on this as well with me. So I am going to give mine, and then I'm going to give another board member's information.
And you're able to put that in the chat, Larissa?
Yes, I'm doing that right now.
Perfect.
Let's see. Yes. And then.
And what is the program specifically called, the training program?
Which one?
So so we have clarification.
The veteran program where it's like 4 stages that we're going to go through. And we're going to be setting up our first class later this fall. So we'll be looking for any female veterans that want to be like female leaders in that program, for any female veterans that want to participate in the program as well. So we're looking for both, female leaders that want to be a part of the program, and then those that want to attend the program to get the training and go through the program. And then as far as the training for mental health peer specialist or mental health first aid or any of those are separate. And those are different trainings.
Okay. And when I send out the email with the
But I'm
YouTube link,
putting-
I'll also put Larissa's contact information in there as well, just as a backup if anyone needs it. And she's got,
I put two, yeah, I put it two right there. Can you see it?
yep, we can see it.
Okay.
Very good. Extremely informative. And it looks like you're going to have some interest in those programs. That's fantastic.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much again, Melissa, for doing this. And we can't do this alone. We definitely need our sister in arms to back us up and keep us motivated and keep us going. So I appreciate this. And
Great.
thank you all too for joining in and helping out and asking questions and being participating. It really means a lot.
Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good day.